Discover the incredible journey. A millionaire's heartwarming promise transforms lives forever. In the heart of a struggling small town, where dreams often faded like the paint on weathered signs, Sarah wiped her brow as she served steaming coffee and warm pie to the familiar faces at the Sunnyside diner. Each day was a grind, but she wore her exhaustion like a badge of honor. Her son, Ethan, sat in the corner booth, thumb buried in a worn notebook scribbled with sketches and calculations. He dreamed bigger than the town's dusty roads and surpassed the whisperings of economic suffocation surrounding them. Today felt different. As Sarah poured coffee, a jingle echoed through the diner, and in walked Marcus, a millionaire with a past in this very town. Memories danced in his eyes as he took in the sights: the yellow walls, worn booths, and the laughter that tinged the air. He spotted Sarah, her smile brightening the dim diner like sunshine breaking through clouds. He approached her, heart swelling with nostalgia, and they quickly struck up a conversation. "Do you ever stop to catch your breath?" he asked, a sympathetic smile breaking across his face. "Only when the pie runs out," she replied with a grin, but there was an undertone of weariness or worry behind her laughter. The exchange turned serious as Sarah began to share tales of her struggles. She opened her heart, revealing sleepless nights and bills that piled high. Yet, in her voice also lingered a tremendous pride for Ethan, the boy with dreams of being an engineer, whose aspirations felt heavy beneath the weight of their reality. As she spoke, light flickered in Marcus's eye. He recognized the fire within her son and the determination that burned within Sarah. Days later, the diner buzzed with chatty excitement. The town community had gathered to hear Marcus make an announcement. He proclaimed his intention to create a scholarship fund for local students. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Parents and children alike marveled at the opportunity that seemed too good to be true. A chance to break the chains of their economic plight. Voices assigned value to dreams, and Marcus had become their unexpected hero. However, whispers soon twisted through the town like a storm brewing on the horizon. Some felt it wasn't fair. Why should Marcus scoop up the town's brightest when others, deserving just as much, remained in the shadows? Ethan didn't know how to navigate this clash. Friends who once shared dreams now eyed each other suspiciously, each question brewing more restlessness. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. An unexpected incident shattered their fragile piece of factory. A town lifeline announced layoffs. The air thickened with despair, a collective crack spreading through their community. Amidst the calamity, Sarah, Marcus, and Ethan faced each other, their beliefs tested in profound ways. As the town gathered to address their fears, emotions erupted. Sarah spoke fiercely, her voice trembling with love and frustration, laying bare her sacrifice for her son. Marcus listened intently, heart heavy with realization. Ethan found himself at a crossroads, torn between ambition and loyalty, striving to choose the right path, knowing every heart in the room was now intertwined in a shared struggle. In that charged moment, vulnerability hung thick in the air, leaving the future uncertain but lit with the spark of hope and solidarity. Would they rise to meet the challenges ahead, or would division tear them apart? The diner's walls resonated with unanswered questions, stirring the fire of resilience while leaving the community's fate hanging precariously in the balance. The room buzzed with tension. Faces wore expressions of fear and frustration, and Sarah felt the weight of it all. She had never liked conflict, but now the stakes were impossibly high. The factory was more than a job, it was the lifeblood of their community. And just like that, the scholarships Marcus offered felt overshadowed by a profound sense of loss. Ethan shifted uncomfortably in his seat, looking at his mother, then at Marcus, who stood with his head bowed slightly, the weight of the moment pulling at him. How could a scholarship help when so many families faced empty pockets in the wake of layoffs? He wanted to believe in Marcus's vision, but the whispers from his friends echoed louder than hope. People are scared, he finally blurted out, unable to contain himself. What's a scholarship if my friends can't find work? The diner fell quiet. Every gaze turned to Ethan, and he could feel the heat of their scrutiny. Marcus cleared his throat, stepping forward, trying to pierce through the thick silence. I understand your concerns, he began, his voice steady but soft, a stark contrast to the emotions brimming around him. I know it feels like I'm handing out opportunities to some while others are left behind. But education can create paths, it can build new futures. I want to lift everyone. But Marcus's words floated in a sea of skepticism. The fear in the room twisted like a knife. Sarah could feel it, too. An argument bubbled beneath the surface, where anger and disappointment threaded through anxious sighs. I get it. We need jobs first, one man shouted from the back, finding a voice amid the murmurs. Scholarships won't pay the bills. More voices joined the fray, each a testament to what was being lost. Ethan's heart sank as each syllable fell like a weight against hope. He admired Marcus, saw the good in him, but could they build a bridge from dreams when reality crashed down so hard? As the community continued to voice its fears, Sarah raised her hands, desperately trying to calm the storm. Listen, please. We're all hurting. We need to find a way to work together, not tear each other apart. Her voice cracked, threading through a surge of emotions. She looked at the faces staring back, those who had shared joy and pain, laughter and tears over pies and coffee. Surely, they could come together too. Ethan watched his mother, her unwavering spirit, her relentless determination. It ignited something in him. What if we work with Marcus? He might have ideas about growing the factory or starting new projects, he suggested, his voice a mix of uncertainty and yearning. The diner erupted into chaotic murmurs, a flicker of hope forcing its way through despair. Marcus looked at Ethan, a hint of admiration reflecting in his gaze. That's exactly what I was hoping to do. Create not just scholarships but opportunities for businesses, for all of you. We can innovate, build something new together. Ethan felt the weight shift, a tangible energy lifting the heaviness that had settled in the room. Maybe it's not about one part of the community gaining while another suffers. With action, they could craft something and lift everyone from the shadows of hardship. As conversations sparked around him, Sarah caught Ethan's eye and smiled, pride radiating from her. But in that moment of flickering hope, an unshakable doubt twisted through her. Would their plans withstand the challenges ahead, or would they crumble under the realities of their lives? Just then, a town elder stood up, her determination unwavering. We need to rally, come together. She called out. Start a committee. Fight for the factory, fight for our kids. We can't let this slip away. As voices lifted in agreement, so did Ethan's hope, yet as he glanced at Marcus, a lingering uncertainty crossed his mind. Could this million-dollar promise truly transform lives, or was it just a band-aid on a deeper wound? In the rising tide of voices, Ethan felt a surge of responsibility. It was time for action, but the hard questions loomed like storm clouds overhead. What would it take to bring their dreams to life? And would they all unite to fight for a shared future, or would fears push them back into the shadows? The moment hung, a fragile breath before the storm. Would they rise together and grasp the future, or face the hard truth that dreams are only as strong as the unity that fuels them? The energy in the diner surged, fueled by both fear and hope. Voices intertwined in a chaotic symphony that filled every corner of the room. Sarah felt her pulse quicken, her heart racing as she scanned the faces around her. The resolve growing from Ethan's suggestion was palpable, but so was the doubt simmering beneath the surface. Ethan stood tall, emboldened by the support suddenly sweeping the room. We have to focus on what we can do, he urged. Let us come together and take control of our future. We need to show Marcus that we're ready to fight for this. This factory, it's not just a workplace. It's part of who we are. As he spoke, a wave of agreement rippled through the crowd. Nods of understanding bounced from table to table. For a moment, the despair faded, replaced by a shared sense of purpose. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Could they really do this? Marcus stepped back, allowing the community's energy to flourish. He looked at Sarah, his eyes glimmering with a mix of admiration and challenge. If you're willing to form a committee, I'll back your ideas with resources and advice, he declared, his voice ringing with authority. But you have to be ready to work hard. This is a partnership, not a handout. Let us do it. Came a shout from the back. The townsfolk began to break off into discussions, fervently hushed yet hopeful. Sarah felt electrified, the weight of their worries was lifting. But beneath her enthusiasm, fear lingered. They were embarking on a journey filled with unknowns. Ethan turned to his mother, his face a mixture of excitement and apprehension. What if we fail? He asked quietly. What if we can't bring everyone together? Then we keep trying, Sarah replied, her voice steady. That's what we do. We don't give up. Just then, an unexpected voice broke through the chatter. Old man Jenkins, who had nearly faded into the background. You know, he croaked, this factory once thrummed with life. We need to remember who we were before all this. People turned to listen, their mood shifting as they focused on his wisdom. What got us through hard times before was our unity. We faced storms together, and we have to do it again. His words hung in the air, reminding everyone of the resilience that had defined their lives. A plan began to form. Ideas tossed back and forth, starting small businesses, raising funds, creating a community festival, anything to bring in attention and revenue. Each suggestion blossomed with energy, and soon laughter danced around the diner. Yet, as excitement grew, a voice of reality brought them back. But we can't just hope it works out. We need a solid plan. One of the younger members chimed in. The group quieted again, the seriousness returning. Ethan looked around, taking in the passionate expressions of his neighbors. They needed a leader, someone to galvanize them, to hold them accountable. Should it be him? The thought shook him. Let us take a vote, Marcus suggested, raising his hands to signal a moment of calm. Let us decide who leads this committee. The first step to building that bridge is choosing the strongest among you. Heartened murmurs of agreement filled the diner once more. The sound of unity surged, yet beneath it ran threads of uncertainty. Would they find the right person to steer this ship? As Ethan's gaze swept the crowd, he felt his heart pound, the weight of leadership calling out to him. What if he was meant to be that leader? They began to speak again, but amidst the rush of words and the hopeful smiles, the nagging question crept back into his mind. With the challenges ahead, would their newfound camaraderie survive the trials that awaited them? As the diner buzzed with dreams and aspirations, Ethan's gut twisted with anticipation. They had a chance, a fragile one. But would they have the courage to seize it? The diner settled into a newfound rhythm, as the hum of anticipation mingled in the air. Ethan felt the weight of the moment pressing on him, heavy yet electrifying. People turned toward him, their faces full of expectation. He could feel his heart racing, like a drumbeat urging him forward. Okay, let us do this, he said, clearing his throat. We need to come up with a solid plan. Just talking isn't enough anymore. The weight of his own words hit him, but he pressed on. We need to lay the foundation for everything we want to achieve. A middle-aged woman with a warm smile chimed in, we could start with something familiar like the old bake sale we used to throw. Her enthusiasm sparked a flicker of memories among the crowd, recalling laughter and community spirit. Bake sales, another voice called out, and maybe we could hold a yard sale too. Everyone has stuff they'd be willing to donate. People began to nod, their faces brightening with thoughts of simpler times. The room buzzed with the possibility of rekindling those nostalgic ties. Yes. And what about a community dance? A young man suggested, face aglow. We could bring in a live band. Cheering erupted in response. Ethan smiled, feeling a swell of hope. He couldn't help but be encouraged by the creativity circulating through the room. Their collective energy began to forge a vision. Yet, the underlying question remained, could they keep that momentum alive? I can organize the yard sale, Sarah spoke up, eyes glinting as she stood taller. And I'll decorate the diner. We want to make it inviting. Everyone can get involved, we need our community's heart to shine. The spark was refreshing. Ideas flowed freely now, turning concentric ripples into a tsunami of intentions. The committee's heart was beating louder with each new suggestion. But with excitement came a subtle fear. Ethan glanced at his mother, weighing the gravity of the situation. What about when we hit a snag? He whispered, hoping no one else would catch his anxiousness. Every plan has bumps, Sarah whispered back. It's how we respond that will define us. As she spoke, Ethan caught a shy glance from another member, Ben, someone he hadn't noticed until now. Ben's brow furrowed with uncertainty. What if some people don't want to join? He asked, almost dropping his eyes, his voice shrouded in doubt. What if they don't believe in this? The atmosphere shifted. Ethan could feel tension tightening the air. What if Ben was right? He looked at the faces, searching for answers. Would they fight for this dream despite the fear of failure, despite the possibility of rejection? That's the risk, he said, voice gaining strength. But we're stronger together than apart. Let us not focus on the what-ifs. If we reach out to those who are unsure, maybe we can light a spark. Maybe we can even host a town hall meeting. Sarah added, her spark igniting something in Ethan. Open invite. Let everyone voice their concerns. We can reassure them, and maybe we'll pull them in. Encouraging smiles faded some of the doubt lingering in the air. Ethan felt the shift, and it gave him hope. His heart thumped as he imagined what it would feel like to lead this movement. Was he ready? There was so much at stake: the laughter, the struggles, and most importantly, the bond of their community. The diner erupted into planning once more, voices overlapping but filling the room with purpose. He could feel it. This was their chance. But beneath the excitement, Ethan sensed hidden challenges lurking around the corner. As the discussions escalated, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking on a tightrope, balancing their dreams against an uncertain ground. Would they truly find the strength to face the fears that accompanied their ambitions? The clock ticked steadily, counting down the moments until this journey truly began. And through the chatter, a single thought echoed in Ethan's mind: was he the leader they needed, or would he flounder when the stakes rose too high? Suddenly, the doors swung open with a creak, a gust of wind pushing in fresh energy as if fate had something more in store. Everyone turned, and Ethan's gut twisted anew. Who had just come in? And what influence would they carry? Ethan's heart jumped as he saw the newcomer step inside. The tall figure, framed by the light from the outside, scanned the diner with a determined gaze. It was Marcus, the local businessman who had recently moved back after years in the city. Rumors had swirled about his wealth, but Ethan had never spoken directly to him. What brings you here? Ethan thought, his mind racing. The hum of conversation faded as everyone watched Marcus stride forward with purpose. I hear there's a meeting about community plans, Marcus said, his voice steady and strong. I'd like to be part of it. The crowd murmured in surprise, a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Great to see you, Marcus. Sarah greeted warmly, stepping forward to bridge the gap. We're brainstorming ideas to revitalize our little town. We could really use your input. Marcus nodded, a hint of a smile breaking through his serious demeanor. I've heard a lot about the potential here. And I want to help. What are you planning? Ethan felt a surge of hope. We're starting with a bake sale, yard sale, community dance, things to draw people together, you know. Those words, simple but filled with longing, hung in the air. The atmosphere shifted again, this time fueled by Marcus' presence. His reputation as someone who could make things happen breathed new life into the gathering. "Those are wonderful ideas," he replied, leaning against the counter. "But we might need a bigger vision. What if we made this an annual event? Something that draws people from outside the town?" The idea electrified the room. Ethan exchanged glances with Sarah, both of them catching on to the inspiration that sparked between Marcus and the committee. The thoughts began to swirl around the diner like the coffee served in chipped mugs, the aroma, rich with possibility. "What if it's not just a dance or a sale?" Ethan proposed, stepping up with newfound confidence. "What if we have a festival? A celebration of everything we are. Food, music, crafts. A way to show off our community's heart." People started nodding again, a wave of excitement washing over them. "And we could invite local artists and musicians." A voice from the back piped up, igniting a new thread of ideas. "But we'll need the funds to pull that off," Ben interjected, the doubt creeping back into his tone. Marcus raised an eyebrow, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. "I can help with that. I've been looking for ways to invest back into the community. We can make it happen together." Ethan felt the weight of those words. A shot of exhilaration coursed through him, intertwining hope with disbelief. "Really?" he asked, looking straight at Marcus. "You'd do that?" "Absolutely," Marcus affirmed, chest puffing with eagerness. "I believe in the bonds of community. And when people come together, amazing things can happen." Suddenly, laughter erupted, breaking down walls of uncertainty. Ideas flowed like the warm coffee, spicy and sweet. The plans bloomed, branches reaching for the sky. An overwhelming sense of camaraderie filled the diner as they transformed from a group of individuals into a larger, united front. But even as the elation of new possibilities swept through him, Ethan couldn't shake the lingering question in his mind: what's the catch? This wasn't a fairy tale. Dreams required diligence, and commitment demanded sacrifice. As discussions continued, Ethan also wondered if they could match Marcus's vision. Could they turn his interest into action, or would they feel the sting of failure when those ambitions crumbled? Outside, shadows grew long, darkening the diner's warm glow. And just then, as if orchestrated by fate, a loud crash echoed from the alley behind the diner, pulling everyone's attention. Fear rippled through the crowd like a whisper of danger, one that Chloe shot a worried glance toward the exit. "What was that?" Sarah's voice trembled slightly, tension snapping the vibrant atmosphere. Ethan felt a shiver race down his spine. Whatever it was, something was unraveling. What threat lay beyond those doors? As uncertainty mixed with curiosity, he took a step towards the exit, instinct calling him forward. What awaited him on the other side? Ethan stepped through the diner's door, his heart hammering against his ribs. The alley wasn't what he expected. Dim light filtered through the hanging bulb above, casting flickering shadows that danced along the brick walls. The air was thick with tension, and he could see the shadows of a figure moving near a dumpster. "Who's there?" he called, his voice shaky but firm. A rustle met his words. Ethan squinted, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Suddenly, a man stumbled out from behind the dumpster, clutching a small metal object that glinted dangerously in the faint light. "Don't come any closer," the man shouted, panic thrumming in his voice. He looked disheveled, clothes torn and dirt smudged across his face. Ethan froze, weighing his instincts. Could he reason with this man? The crowd inside the diner was now hushed, eager for news. Sarah had peered out behind him, her face pale. "Let's just talk," Ethan urged softly, taking a cautious step forward. "Nobody needs to get hurt." The man's breathing was ragged as he raised the object defensively. "I just want to get out of here. I didn't mean to cause any trouble." With those words, Ethan realized this man was scared, not dangerous. He sensed the fragility of their moment, a pivotal crossroad hanging in the air between them. "Okay, I understand," he said, his voice steadying. But you need to put that down. We're all just trying to help each other here. As soon as the words left his mouth, Ethan felt a rush of inner strength. He was fighting for this man's soul, just as he was for the spirit of the community. Behind him, the diner brimmed with the promise of revival. The stranger's eyes flickered, the grip on the metal loosening. You don't know what it's like. Nobody ever tries to help. I do know, Ethan replied quietly, desperation wavering in his tone. I've been there. We can change this. Just let me in. A moment passed, the air heavy with uncertainty. Then the man dropped the object, clattering to the ground. Ethan rushed forward, daring to take a step closer, reaching out a hand. See? He said, his voice soothing now. We can talk. Name's Ethan. What's yours? Jared, the man mumbled, looking around as if seeing the alley for the first time. I lost my job. Been trying to figure it out since. Let's find a way together. Ethan's words spilled out softly, but they carried weight. He could feel warmth radiating from just a conversation, how simple connections could alter someone's path. Suddenly, a murmur broke out behind him, the diner's crowd restless as they speculated what was happening. But the sound faded into the background, muddled under the understanding growing between Ethan and Jared. Just then, a scuffle erupted nearby, and a group of teenagers appeared, laughing loudly, oblivious to the fragile scene unfolding. Jared flinched, retreating into the shadows, his fear bubbling back. Hey, stay! Ethan called out, but the man shook his head. They won't understand. Nobody does. Maybe they will, Ethan replied earnestly. But we can't even start to change their minds if you're not willing to be seen. His words hung there, inviting Jared to reclaim agency over his story. You deserve a second chance, Ethan urged, longing to reach the man who felt invisible to the world. Behind him, the diner's door creaked open further, sending soft light streaming into the alley, a beacon of hope waiting for Jared. Jared glanced from the shadows to the light, uncertainty etched across his face. In that moment of choice, Ethan held his breath. Would this be just another chance turned away, or a step toward something bigger? As Jared hesitated, time hanging in that vivid space, Ethan knew they were just at the beginning. And outside, laughter spilled from the diner, warm, inviting, and filled with the promise of change. What would Jared decide? Would he step back into the light, or continue to hide in the darkness of his fears? Ethan held his breath, his heart racing as he watched Jared's eyes dart between the shadows and the inviting glow from the diner. The laughter that danced along the alley's walls felt like both a promise and a challenge. Jared, he said again, his voice steady, whatever you're facing, you don't have to do it alone. I get it. I really do. The man's brow furrowed, uncertainty battling with a flicker of hope. You don't know anything about me. His voice trembled, like he was grappling with more than just his fear. You don't know how far I've fallen. Ethan took another small step forward. But I'm here now. This community can be more than just a diner. We can be a family. He gestured back towards the warmth spilling from the diner. They want to help, Jared. They're just waiting for someone to take that first step. Jared seemed frozen, trapped in his own mind. The gaunt lines of his face told a story of struggle, and Ethan's heart ached for the man standing in front of him. You're not invisible here. None of us are. Still, Jared hesitated, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting judgment from the laughter behind Ethan. Ethan swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the moment settle heavily on his shoulders. Look, I won't lie to you. It's going to be hard. But that doesn't mean you have to be alone in it. Every moment counts, especially the ones where you reach out. Jared finally looked Ethan squarely in the eyes, a storm of emotions brewing within him. What if I don't know how? He whispered, the vulnerability in his voice striking Ethan deeply. That's okay, Ethan replied, heart racing at the breakthrough. No one knows at first. But trying is everything. You can start right now. Just walk with me. Let us help you find your way. There was a long silence. Jared's gaze flicked back and forth, calculations and fears fighting for dominance in his mind. The hum of life inside the diner filled the alley, voices laced with laughter and the clink of glasses a stark contrast to the darkness surrounding them. The shadows cast doubt on Jared's spirit, but something glimmered in his eyes. They'll just look at me like I'm a lost cause. They'll see you. They'll listen, Ethan urged, feeling a fire ignite within him. Trust me. You might be surprised. Everyone has a story, and yours is just beginning. With a shuddering breath, Jared turned slowly towards the light, its warmth brushing against his skin. He took a hesitant step but paused again, wrestling with a lifetime of fears. Come on, Jared, Ethan said softly, extending his hand. We're all waiting for you. With an almost imperceptible nod, Jared moved forward, slowly taking Ethan's hand. A rush of relief and triumph coursed through Ethan, and he felt the eyes of the diner on them, an unspoken connection forming as they began to walk towards the light together. Inside, the atmosphere shifted. Voices subsided, curiosity filling the air as the door swung shut behind them with a soft thud. Jared glanced around, both terrified and relieved. But instead of judgment, he saw warmth, concern, and even an eager smile from Sarah. What's your plan? One of the patrons asked, the excitement palpable. Jared hesitated, words slipping like sand through his fingers. I don't know yet, but I want to try. As the small crowd leaned in, ready to listen, Ethan felt the thrill of something igniting within him too. They were on the brink of a true community, one built on understanding and compassion. But just as hope began to settle, a fierce shout rang out behind them, a voice piercing the warmth of connection. Get away from him! A young man yelled, bursting through the door, eyes wild with anger. Ethan turned, his heart dropping. He could sense the danger. Would they embrace their new reality, or would fear fracture their fragile moment? As the diner held its breath, the air crackled with anticipation, one question echoing in Ethan's mind: how would they all rise to meet the storm that was about to unfold? Jared felt the weight of the newcomer's fury pressing down on him like a lead blanket. The sudden tension made the air feel thick and heavy, every person in the diner holding their breath, their eyes darting between Jared and the angry man who had burst into their haven. Who the hell are you? The intruder demanded, his voice sharp, slicing through the uneasy silence. Ethan stepped in front of Jared instinctively, his own heart thundering in protest. Just a friend, he said, his voice low but firm. He felt a surge of protectiveness, knowing that Jared's fragile moment of courage was hanging in the balance. Friend? Is that what you call it? The young man scoffed, narrowing his gaze. You don't know him. He's a loser. He doesn't belong here. His voice cracked with bitter venom, and every word dripped with disdain. A murmur rippled through the diner. Sarah's face shifted to concern as she caught Jared's eye, offering a look of support. Jared's heart raced, his own insecurities bubbling back to the surface. Stop, Ethan said, stepping forward, his voice steadying with resolve. You don't know what he has been through. The intruder's eyes flared, and for a moment, it seemed like he might explode. What he has been through? He's just another deadbeat. People like him don't change. Why do you care? Jared ventured, finding his own voice amidst the chaos. You don't know me. Silence fell as the young man hesitated, unsure for a brief moment. The diner seemed to shrink around them, and Jared felt a knot of fear twisting in his stomach. Would he really let this moment slip away? Because, the man snapped, I know enough. You're nothing but a burden. Ethan glanced over at the crowd, their expressions wavering between support for Jared and concern for the escalating conflict. He sensed the tide turning, felt the anxiety crystallizing into support. No one here sees him that way, Ethan urged, his passion igniting a flicker of courage in the others. You're scared, but scared people lash out. Don't do that. The tension continued to hum in the air, thick and electric. For every harsh word spoken, Ethan saw more patrons step closer, solidarity shining in their eyes. A voice from the back called out, "Everyone deserves a chance." Another added, "We're all working through something." Jared's heart swelled with unexpected warmth. Could these words wash away the years of torment, the shame he had clung to tightly? He straightened, taking in the faces surrounding him, every hopeful glimmer breaking through the darkness he had known for so long. "Maybe I don't know how to change," Jared said, his voice shaking but steady, "but I'm tired of being afraid to try." His heart raced with the weight of those words, but they felt right, freeing him in some way. The intruder seemed caught off guard by the sudden wave of compassion from the diners. The storm within him still simmered, but now there were questions instead of blind rage etched into his expression. "Whatever," he muttered, stepping back, visibly rattled. "You'll regret this." Ethan stood firm, determination blazing in his eyes. "No, you will," he countered, "because this isn't just about you. It's about all of us finding our way." With that, the young man turned and stormed out, leaving behind an electrified silence filled with understanding. Jared looked around, the warmth of support wrapping around him like a blanket. The laughter and chatter resumed slowly, though there was a new edge to it, a collective sense of resilience. "I might not know my plan," he whispered to Ethan, who smiled back, "but I want to figure it out." "That's all anyone can ask for," Ethan replied, his heart swelling with pride. And just as Jared felt that hope solidifying within him, another figure appeared at the door, one he didn't expect to see: his brother. The look on his face was filled with disbelief and concern, but also something else: determination. Jared's breath caught. Would this be another chance to bridge the distance between them, or would it shatter everything he was just starting to rebuild? As the diner watched with bated breath, one thing echoed in Jared's heart: was he ready to face the past to reshape his future? Jared's heart pounded in his chest. There stood his brother, Noah, a figure from his past that stirred up emotions like a storm. The diner buzzed around him, but in that moment, it felt like the world narrowed to just the two of them. Noah's expression was a mixture of surprise and concern, and for the first time in years, Jared wondered if he could recognize the familiar bond that had once connected them. "Jared?" Noah finally spoke, his voice hesitant. "Is that really you?" "Yeah, it's me," Jared managed, his throat tightening. The laughter and chatter of the diners faded to a dull roar as he took a step forward. "What are you doing here?" Noah shrugged, looking both guilty and defensive. I heard about what happened with you. I needed to see for myself." His eyes flicked to the remaining patrons, who mostly pretended to be absorbed in their conversations, sensing the awkwardness of the encounter. Jared felt anger bubbling beneath the surface. He hadn't been prepared for this. "You think I can't take care of myself? You think I'm just a mess to run away from?" "Jared," Noah hesitated, his eyes softening. "I came because I care. I've always cared. Cared enough to disappear." Jared's voice was sharper than he intended. He took a shaky breath, the hurt spilling over. "You left when I needed you most." Silence enveloped them, heavy like a storm cloud. Noah ran a hand through his hair, frustration etching lines across his brow. "It was complicated." "You don't understand, try me," Jared challenged, his heart racing with renewed courage. This was a chance, maybe the one he had been waiting for. Noah's shoulders dropped, surrendering to the tension. "I couldn't handle it. I thought I was helping you by staying away. I was scared of what would happen if I didn't." His gaze swept the room, landing on the people who had stood by Jared. "But I see now that I was wrong." A flicker of hope ignited in Jared's chest. Could this be the moment he longed for? "Maybe we both got it wrong," he said, softer this time. "What if we tried to do this together?" A flicker of something uncertain passed across Noah's face, like he was fighting back a wave of emotions. "You really want to try again? After everything?" The diner felt charged with a new energy as Jared stood a bit taller. I'm trying to change. I'm trying to be better. I can't do it alone. I don't want to be that burden you think I am. The tension broke, and something shifted in Noah's expression. I never thought you were a burden, Jared. I always saw you as my little brother who could overcome anything. I was just getting lost along the way. Jared felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes, the sincerity in Noah's voice washing over him like a warm embrace. Then let us figure it out, together, he whispered, hardly able to believe the words that slipped past his lips. Noah took a step forward, extending a tentative hand. Okay. Together. Just let me try to be better too. The diners watched, their breaths collectively held as the brothers hesitated, the silence holding the weight of so much unspoken history. Then, slowly, Jared reached out, grasping Noah's hand. It felt unfamiliar yet comforting, a warmth within the deep chill of distance that had grown over the years. The moment felt fragile, like glass about to shatter, but also strong in its potential, filled with the promise of healing. As they held on to that fragile connection, a wave of support surged around them, echoing in murmurs of encouragement and renewed hope. But just as optimism began to take root, another figure entered the diner. This time, it was a woman with fierce determination etched across her face, her gaze locked on Jared. He felt the energy shift again in the air, a thick tension crackling as she approached. Jared, she called, her voice steady and unwavering. We need to talk. It's important. Jared's heart sank. He hadn't anticipated another complication arriving just as he began to rebuild. What could this new arrival mean for him and Noah? The woman stepped closer, her presence commanding and familiar. Ethan felt the air grow thicker with curiosity and tension. Her eyes held stories of their own, stories that were woven into the very fabric of the community. Jared, she said again, her voice smooth yet firm. You don't know me, but I know you. My name is Rachel, and I'm here on behalf of the community committee. We need everyone to step forward, especially you. Ethan leaned in, heart racing as the weight of her words settled over the diner. Why? Jared asked, curiosity piqued. The wounds of the past still stung, yet he felt the bitterness melting as he stood vulnerable beside Noah. Because we believe in you, Rachel replied, her gaze unwavering. The festival we're planning, it needs you. We believe that your story can inspire others. We want you to share your journey of change. The sentiment coursed through the diner, a wave of understanding washing over him. He felt the eyes of the patrons, filled with hope and support, fixed on him. Each expression seemed to say, you're not alone. I don't know if I'm the right person for that, Jared replied, voice trembling as he felt both exhilarated and terrified. What do I have to share? Everything. Rachel's voice was soft yet powerful. Your struggle, your journey. It matters. It shows people that they can rise up from their own darkness. The word struck a chord deep within Jared. There was a time not long ago when he felt he had nothing to give, only burdens and shadows. But each moment in the diner, each moment of connection, was reshaping his reality. Noah squeezed his hand, a grounding reassurance. You could do it, Jared, he whispered. You have a chance to help others just like you find hope. The weight bore down on him. The crowd couldn't just be a safe hug surrounding him, they were asking for him to stand and shine. Fear clawed at his throat, but it was mingled with something new, courage. I'll do it, Jared said, as clarity sparked in his heart. I want to try. We need to show that redemption is possible. Cheers erupted in the diner, voices lifting in solidarity. He could hardly believe the swell of encouragement that buoyed him. Overwhelmed, Jared turned to Rachel, the fierce spark of inspiration igniting in her eyes. What's the first step? Let us start with your story at the festival, she replied, smile wide and genuine. You'll be among friends who care, who want to hear about your journey. It'll help so many. Emotions roared inside him, a collective acceptance. This wasn't just a festival, it was a movement. A chance for connection, healing, and a celebration of strength. Jared felt the gravity of his decision. As plans began to unfold throughout the room, Ethan leaned close to Jared, his eyes shining. "Look at this. We're reshaping our community, one story at a time, and you're at the center of it." Jared smiled, feeling an unfamiliar warmth sizzle in his chest. No longer was he that solitary figure hidden in the shadows, but a thread woven into something far larger, a tapestry of laughter, resilience, and hope. The energy surged, conversations buzzing with life as they began crafting their festival timeline. Rachel led them in outlining duties. The youth brigade would handle decorations, while Sarah and others began organizing the bake sale. Excitement in the room caught fire like a spark through dry brush. Jared reveled in it, realizing all he needed to do was step forward, not just for himself, but for everyone. He looked at Noah, who nodded with understanding, rekindling the brotherly bond that had felt lost for so long. "We'll do this," they both murmured together, inspired to tackle the journey ahead hand in hand. Finally, as the meeting progressed, light-hearted laughter filled the diner once more. Friends rallied around Jared, enthusiasm and joy making the space bloom like spring flowers emerging from winter's frost. But amid the camaraderie, an important realization settled in his heart, a reminder of the challenges still ahead. Life wouldn't always be easy, the road to change often wound through darkness. Yet together each of them transformed by their shared stories they could face any storm. That night, after the diner closed, headlights flicked off one by one outside, illuminating the small town under a blanket of stars. Jared, enveloped in warmth and friendship, felt grounded. With the festival on the horizon and new beginnings unfurling before him, he embraced the hope lingering in each breath. They were stepping out of their comfort zones, boldly illuminating the path to a shared future, a community unified by love and compassion, and a belief in possibilities. As Ethan turned to him earlier that evening, a genuine smile on his face, Jared declared, "I'm ready for this journey." He stood amidst the heart of the diner, a small spark among stars, determined to shine bright against the backdrop of adversity. And so, with every voice raised in commitment around him, they would turn dreams into reality, the little town reborn through friendship, resilience, and hearts bursting with hope. If this incredible transformation inspired you, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow this community of hope. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartfelt conclusion. Your voice matters to us. And most importantly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share, every action counts in building our beautiful story together.